they found his bones in 1974 or something like that, or 75. But uh, you could still say, because what I've read in here, some of it could be still considered to be propaganda, but it's mostly not either. You can't really blame the person who wrote it. They may not know. But again, 225th. I mean, realize that the Dalai Lama of India, the pronounced, or I mean the proclaimed Dalai Lama, he's only the 14th reincarnation of the Dalai Lama, whereas Haile Selassie is supposed to be the 225th representation or monarch, representing the Solomonic line. So when he was born, clearly they knew there was something about him. I mean, if you all know the story, obviously you know that he, at the age of 13, was governing a little town. And it's not hard. It's not difficult. They let a child do it because a child is innocent, essentially. He's not corrupted by money, or even though he may have been corrupted by shelter, but still, it doesn't matter. He was a human being that has, well, he was an exceptional human being. One that obviously was able to, well, I'm not going to get into that either. Yeah. So just to point that out, that the 225th, and that the name Kepra Nagas, it's the same words. See that? Connection is also even with what I had found with the flat Earth thing, Mount Meru. That needs to be looked at a little closer, I think. Because I believe also that there's also deception with the flat Earth issue. There is something about it. It's not, the world ain't round. That's all I could say. It's not a round ball. It's not logical. Shadows, the way if you understand shadows, it's not working. It's working against them, and it's the shadows that's giving them away, and the pictures and the technology that's telling on them now. And you can't hide it anymore. There's too many people sending up balloons with GoPro cameras on it with flat lenses, and they're showing you that there's something wrong. It's not a globe. It certainly may not be totally flat, but it certainly ain't no globe, and the sun ain't no 93 million miles away. It's becoming logical. But hey, those who want to believe it don't, do and don't, and it's up to you. I'm not professing or preaching. Anyway, that's what I want to point out more. That there's a connection with Ethiopia and India a little, and actually I believe it needs to be pay attention to a little bit closer if you're searching, because what's funny is that I found something when I was at the post office in my town. I couldn't believe it. It was right in the ghetto. I couldn't believe it. It was the funniest thing. It was actually a picture of Buddha, but this was the picture. This was what was pictured, or what was said underneath it, and it shocked me because it was talking about black leaders, and they had pictures of Malcolm X and Martin Luther King and Ramses, I believe, and some other figures. I don't remember exactly who, but black leaders, figures, and they had this one of Buddha, and you see the word up there, Buddha. I didn't take the picture because you don't need to see no more pictures of Buddha, but check out what it says. One of the world's most prolific philosophical and religious readers was Prince Siddartha, who preached in India over 2,500 years ago and became known as the Buddha, the Enlightened One. His philosophical doctrine spread throughout Southeast Asia, Tibet, China, and Japan. Today, the practitioners of Buddhism number in the hundreds of millions worldwide. India had an indigenous black population that had entered the subcontinent about 50,000 years ago from Ethiopia, ultimately establishing a great empire known as the Indus Valley Civilization. In 1500 BC, this great empire was invaded by a tribe of barbarians from the north of India, igniting a series of wars that lasted nearly 1,000 years. The conclusion of these classic battles ushered in India's first golden age, the age in which the Buddha was born. Through culture and racial assimilation, the face of India and the face of Buddha began to change. However, examples such as this statue showing the Buddha in his original appearance with dark skin, a flat nose, powerful lips, and curly hair often falling in locks, can still be found throughout Indochina. Anyway, it's basically saying the images of Buddha are actually they're representing that he's black. He's not Indian. But this may not be totally the truth, obviously, also. But the truth is, some of it is there. Someone does know that Ethiopia influenced more than we're being taught. And while I was in Ethiopia, I just so happened to met a Rastafarian by the name of Stephen, who pointed out to me that in the Raphael picture of, I think, Socrates and I'm sorry, now I forgot the other guy's name. Socrates and oh man, I can't believe. Anyway, those who know this picture know what I'm talking about. These two philosophical teachers. Well, one lived longer. Well, they both never met, but it's just a philosophical drawing. But one is the predecessor and one is the teacher. Anyway, so or one is anyway, you know what I mean. It was pointed out to me that the book that he was holding says Ethiopia on it, and that made me giggle because I had this picture for the longest time and I never knew why I had it. I really never really did. I mean, I liked it when I was ignorant and but for the longest, when I had figured out some things, I wondered, why do I still have this picture? And until I was in Ethiopia, when this guy told me that on the book of the spine it says Ethiopia, I thought, whoa, that shocked me, because again, this is history. This is supposed to be Roman culture, and they're clearly paying homage to something. They're showing you something. And even in India, the Indian picture of Krishna, for instance, they draw it wrong on purpose. If you look here, he's got his foot behind his front leg, but the majority of pictures that you see, well, no, actually almost all of them, the pictures even today that you see of Krishna, they're drawn in a way that his foot is over his whole foot is in front of his leg, not behind it. And you'll see here it's actually behind it. These are the things that I mean about history. They're changing, and because they're changing it changes the significance of it. It changes your instinctive value of it. It distorts it right away. Somehow we pick up on the truths and not even realize that we have them till someone ignites it for us and shows us that, oh, it's right there in front of us. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to show you that Ethiopia had more to influence more than we've been taught, and just to look at things a little more detailed. And that's really it. All right, Isis, give thanks, and good luck on everyone's searches.